All right. So I like to use situations from readings that I do as examples, and this is no shade. Um, uh, yeah, this is no shade to this person because I think that what I'm about to describe is somewhere that a lot of us have been, perhaps at some point. And where I'm talking about is in a situation where you're with a man who is genuinely separated as of, from their spouse. They may have been separated for years, living separately, totally separate lives and all that stuff. So like the divine, I don't think classifies that as cheating because if your soul contract is over and that chapter is closed, but the physical human paper contract has not completed, that's that's not the same. I mean, anyway, from a spiritual perspective, unless it's like a divinely appointed union, like just regular relationships, I hate to put it like that, they're not always treated the same. I'll say that. The main thing is if you're in a relationship and you want to be monogamous and you have not agreed to an open relationship, but someone betrays your trust and things like that in that area and possibly puts you in harm's way, that's where the whole cheating shit and all of that becomes a major issue, especially if the dude is out here impregnating folks, and it can be just, you know, it can be fatal. Okay, that's what all these episodes of Dateline Snapped and shit is made of. But anyway, the person was saying that for the first year of their relationship with this person, they did not know that this person was still married. That is a huge red flag, period, regardless of whether the person was bona fide separated or not. If the person was genuinely separated, they should be telling you from day one, this is my situation, and let you have the opportunity to make an informed decision as to whether you want to be involved. So, as I'm doing the reading, now she's 3 years into the relationship. That's a whole other issue because these days, depending upon how serious the estates are, I'm saying estates for lack of a better term, just because, like, if you have a lot of assets that have to be divided or whatever, and it can be messy and there's a lot of money involved and all of these things, I could see why it could take a lot longer for some people to get divorced versus others. But a lot of times it's just a matter of paying a couple $100s, getting the separation paperwork filed. The separation paperwork turns into the divorce decree, and then boom. So it may just be custody discussions, perhaps, and then who gets to keep the house, who gets to keep the cars. And, so there's different levels to this shit, I know. But for the most part, a lot of times men will play this game where they're trying to hold on to the marriage just to hold out to see if they can reconcile with their spouse. But then they have these extracurricular relationships on the side. And I'm not saying that the person I was reading for, that was the exact scenario, because I didn't read into it that far. But like I said, number one, if the person is still married on paper, regardless of what their situation is, they should be telling you from day one, this is my situation. it should not take a year for you to find out that that's their situation. And then once you find out that's their situation, maybe they had to be separated, because in North Carolina you're supposed to be required to be separated for a year and a day before the divorce is final. So maybe that's the situation. But if you have now been with this person for 3 years and they have not gotten officially divorced yet, that is another red flag, because again, either the person is trying to hold on to the relationship because they're trying to reconcile, or they just have no intentions on getting married again. They're like, after this situation, I'm never getting married again. But they will string people along, because if you want to get married, if you want to be, fully committed to this person, but they're trying to use their pending divorce as an excuse and all that stuff. And then, hold on. Okay, lost my train of thought for a second. And then the other thing is that I was talking about is that a lot of times people really need a couple of years to get past a divorce, especially what I have found from my perspective as a woman. Men for sure need that time, unless it was like they have been separated for like 3 to 5 years already, and then it's just a matter of finalizing the divorce by the time they meet you and things like that. Most men, it hits them pretty hard, and so they need, especially with children involved, they need 2 to 3 years to recuperate, partially because they trying to sow their oats and get their rocks off, and because they were, monogamous to their spouse, now they trying to damn reclaim their youth and shit physically. That's one thing. But the other thing is just like the process of detaching from the relationship. Because from a psychology, and I really kind of hate to use that term, but from a psychological perspective, I have heard that, divorce is comparable to actually losing a spouse to death. So, it's kind of like grieving the relationship, mourning whatever happened and how it ended, or, grieving the children and how they feel about it and all that stuff. So it's a lot. It can be a lot. So I took the long route kind of explaining this, but I hope that this helps whoever might be in that situation to bring some light to it, because it's a really messed up position to be in, because you could really develop a very loving, endearing, and healthy relationship. I mean, just to be honest, it could really be a really cool relationship. But if the person is dead set on not ever getting married again, and that's what you want, then, it could really be a very painful situation to try to detach from. And that's why I've been talking about for a long time being able to detach from the outcome. We're connected to everything, but we should be detached. Like, we're intricately connected to everything of the universe, but we need to be detached from the outcome of relationships, because people have complete and utter free will. And we should not be out here trying to manipulate or control people. And that's why I preach against any kind of spell work unless you're doing it on yourself.